Hello, good morning, welcome, good day, whatever time it is for you. Yesterday we had some Istanbul and we had some European gathering, so I trying to break the habit of saying good morning. It is 9 a.m. Pacific. In San Diego, where I am today, it is overcast, my favorite type of weather. It's my favorite type of year when it's past the baking heat of summer and into the cool of fall. Okay, I'll take it back. Second favorite. Spring is my favorite, but I love the weather where you can wear a hat or even long sleeves and not be uncomfortably icky hot. I'm very fragile. My nickname growing up was Petunia. Okay, that's not true. Welcome, Louisa. Welcome, Case Fisher. Let's see, can I make this work any easier for me? I'll try it. You know. This is a live broadcast every day. It's on Twitch and Facebook and YouTube and sometimes Instagram when the tech gods are favoring me. So, good morning, good day, hello to you. It's a daily practice of connection, sharing gratitude, reminding ourselves that we are not alone, that we are not isolated islands of positivity and love, and that there's millions, billions of people out there with love in their hearts and who would much rather hug you than hurt you. The world would rather hug you than hurt you, even if the loudest drums are banging different messages. And as we walk through the world with that optimism, with that openness, with that vulnerability, we not only invite others to join us, we give permission. So, welcome, permissionaries. What are you grateful for? Welcome, German Girl and Drip with Nate. Welcome, Gerbot. I am grateful for my partner, Lisa. I can hear her right now downstairs recording a new podcast for her, a new episode for her podcast, A Song for All of Us. I just was editing another episode with the actor Jeff Kober, who I got to meet when he was here. Such a cool guy. You would recognize him from all sorts of TV and movie. Most recently, I saw him. He was the sheriff in Sons of Anarchy. And he often plays like a hard guy, but oh my gosh, he is so gentle. And now he's a Vedic meditation teacher. And so we just uploaded episode 4 of her podcast. And just I'm so grateful to have a partner that I admire so much. So cool. Welcome, Field of Awesome. That might be my favorite name ever. Field of Awesome. I'm grateful for choir practice. We had choir practice yesterday, like a potluck one at this property called Evo. With a number of families live there, and it's this beautiful place, incredible trees, and just awesome. And so we had a potluck and we were singing, and one person was trying to describe the alchemy of all of our voices coming together. And he's like, it's like we're these individual beings, and then together we're a chili that's just so much more. It's like, and then it feels like sunrise. And I'm like, Chili Sunrise would be a pretty badass band name, but maybe not so much. Chili Sunrise. And then I thought, I like the idea of these individual things that come together. Like sometimes what we talk about here as being this kind of stew or casserole of all of our different perspectives and gratitudes come together. Our flavors inspire each other. And then we get to take this huge cauldron of incredible brew soup mix of all of our energies, and we get to ladle it out as we go through the world. What are you grateful for? German girl says, "Hello from Germany. I'm grateful that I was able to spend some time with my dad the last couple of days." What a great one. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Family is such a treasure, and it's so easy to take for granted. My my uncle passed a few days ago, and family's in the process right now of making plans for the memorial. I'm The memorial is on the first Saturday of the month, which is the day that I do a monthly event for the homeless in San Diego. So I'm trying to tug on which is the morally optimal path, but trying to figure that out. But as in the weeks that my uncle was in hospice, it was such a beautiful reminder of the preciousness of those times we get to spend with our parents. So I'm glad that you're able to have it and appreciate it. Thanks for sharing. Christopher, good morning. Christopher Thomas says, "I'm grateful I was just on Playa all weekend." Nice. You're doing restoration, like with resto? So freaking cool. Thank you for sharing. And if that's what you're doing, thank you for your service and your gift to the planet and our community. Amazing. And if that's not what you're doing, thanks for just being here. Shadow Sniper says, "Grateful for my cat and rekindling my relationship with my little brother who's 25. Yay! Oh, I love hearing that. My relationship with my brother is the one of my greatest treasures. And it always hurts my heart a little bit when I hear about siblings that don't speak or don't get along. Because it's such a, I mean, there's outside of my beloved Lisa, there's no one I'm connected deeper with than my brother. Christopher Thomas says, "Out for restoration and for Octoplaya." Kick ass. Thanks for sharing. And welcome Tin Cat and Benehi Music and anyone else that might be here. Would love to hear what you're grateful for. As we share our gratitudes, other people get to two opportunities. Either go, "Oh, I'm grateful for that too," or say, "Oh, how cool that someone out there is having joy in these ways that I was not even thinking about." So thank you. Gerbot says, "Chilly sunrise." High Noon says, "Hello, y'all love Monday beans. I am grateful for trying my best in my struggles." Good job. Good job. Gerbot says, "Grateful for my regular family Zoom call." You know, I was struck by the word regular because, yes, it is routine, and yet it is nothing regular about being able to touch base with your family on a weekly basis. It is priceless. Welcome, creatives, and David and Andy. Natasha says, "Good morning from the perfect weather of Albuquerque. I am so grateful for awesome conditions for mass accession for Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. I love sitting on my balcony and just staring at the sky candy." Ooh, Sky Candy. That's a way better name than Chilly Sunrise for a band. "It reminds me of the peacefulness of seeing dolphins in Solana Beach." Hello, Genevieve. Welcome. Thank you for saying hello from Calgary. Yeah, let us know where you are. What are you grateful for? I am grateful for, I mentioned I was grateful for Lisa's podcast. And I think I'm going to I just edited a little clip from her conversation with Richard Rudd. Richard Rudd, author of The Gene Keys, if you're familiar with that. And The Gene Keys is, wow, it is on the way to and from choir practice. It was about an hour away. I was listening to some of the audiobook, and there's big chunks of it that are just like whoosh, whoosh, But then there's these concepts about the potential of humanity and how each aspects of our personality are all on the spectrum, and even the bad behavior you see is part of this one thread of evolution. It's so badass. BNHY Music says, much love from Minnesota and the Northern Fire Dynamic Group. Sending you lots of love back. Thanks for being here and adding your good vibes to our stew. Genevieve is grateful for trying something so far outside of my comfort zone and killing it. I was asked to be a keynote speaker on ethics and compliance. Congratulations and well done. Good job. More and more, I'm recognizing that the greatest victories are the efforts that we put into going outside of our comfort, not in the results, not in the victories, in the efforts, in the having the courage to not know if you're going to be able to do it, or know that you're not going to be able to do it well. An upcoming Stay Sparked episode, which is another podcast I do with Betsy Pinkelhu, is about learning new things. And my experience with the chorus these last 5 months has been such a good classroom for me to spend time in the place of discomfort, spend time in the place of lack of confidence, spend time in the place where the self-judgment voice gets to be louder than I like. But there's so much growth in that space. So well done. Sherry says, grateful all my math homework is in and an A on my first math test. Bravo. This is a big deal with my lifelong story of being bad at it. Grateful I've challenged us. That's what I was just talking about. So first off, I'm so fucking proud of you for stepping into some place that you had a story of that you couldn't do or were bad at. And extra sprinkles on top and high fives and chest bumps consensually if you want, because you actually did great. Good job. Fuck yeah, it's inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. Raven, I'm glad that we're here live as well. Thanks for being here and adding your good vibes to this mix. This is a gathering to remind us that we are not alone, that there are so many like-minded, open-hearted, beautiful people in the world. And we can be the role models and the permissionaries, letting people know the world would rather hug you than hurt you. I think I just said the world would rather wag you, which could be a type of beef, or it could be a dog's behavior when it is happy. So we will wag you. Kind of sounds like a cool parody of a Queen song. Who else has some gratitude to share? Heinian says, I'm grateful for the ability to share the moon last night with anyone who got a chance to see it last night. It makes me see how interconnected we are. Oh, I love that. Oh, thanks for sharing. There was somebody at choir practice last night that they said that they went to an event over the weekend, and there was like 5 other members of our chorus, our choir, at the event. And when they ran into each other, they each sang a lyric from one of our songs about listening to the moon. And she's like, she's like, why aren't we always outside looking at the stars? Why aren't we doing that every night? So I'm so appreciative that you were and are doing that. BNHY Music says, grateful my music album is about to be finished. That's gotta feel good. Being able to meet people through music and fire dancing and waking up, taking a breath. Thank you for the reminder of gratitude and not to forget it. It's one of those things where everybody knows that gratitude is important. Everybody knows that they're grateful. They have lots to be grateful for, but not everybody takes time to actually visit the headspace, the vibrational thought of the gratitude of the people, the things, the freedom, the safety, the comfort, the connections, all the so much, the tastes, the music. There's so and having a practice changes your life, changes your what your reality is. It changes your ability to stay aware of how good or how much good is in your world. Speaking of music, we're watching The Gilded Age, and it takes place in like 1890 or something like that. And it's so fun to try to imagine what it was like for them, like when going to the opera house to hear music. Because you couldn't just play music in your house. You didn't have a radio, you don't have a record player. In fact, there's one couple that gets a music box and it plays a song, and their servant has to go crank it to play the single song it plays. So they're like dancing to this Brahms thing, and it's, a tinny ting 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 ting. And but I mean, that was the luxury of the ultra wealthy to be able to have a song on demand. Everyone else, you have to wait till there's a concert, or play yourself. And here we are in a world where we can click a few times and hear the greatest symphonies play the most incredible music that's ever existed, and then click again and hear the impassioned screams of some punk youth, and then click again and hear the maestro flamenco guitar player. It's just like, how often do we go just really think about that? Oh my gosh, compared to the hundreds and thousands of years of human existence, the pleasure on demand that we have is in unfathomable to anyone except those who have been living in the last 20 years. Wow. Shadow Sniper says, thank you for always making us feel inclusive. We all need a dose of love. Thank you. And many of you I know and have met or spent time with, and many more listening I probably have not met in person, but I can tell with absolute certainty in my heart that if you are in this space right now, hearing the vibrations of my voice, and they're here hitting your ear right now, that I love you. I genuinely love you and appreciate you and recognize that you are going through struggles and showing courage and dealing with fear and trauma and building relationships and repairing relationships and struggling with inner voices. You're humaning as best you can. And for that, I feel connected to you, because me too. That doesn't mean everything you do I think is a good idea or approve of. Same with myself. But so I don't like everything or everybody, but I certainly love everyone. And I think we can all kind of practice that a bit. Shell says, hi from St. Louis. So grateful to be sober and so many blessings in my life. A wonderful family and a loving and respectful partner. It's a great fucking list. Thanks for sharing. Kiri says, Morno! I'm grateful I'm a silly goose and that I'm lifting heavier than some of the beefy dudes in the gym. It's not about being better than them. It just feels so amazing to feel stronger than a person of my stature is expected to be. Love that. Yeah. That's one of those foundational blocks that anchors your being. Things like, I know that I have the ability to discipline myself to work out. I feel in my body the strength of my muscles because of my efforts. Good job. Genevieve says, remember taking all night to download one song? Right. Well, and gosh, it's funny when people were not alive or like during those brief years of like Napster, when suddenly you get any music you wanted for free and download it. Welcome, Adonis and Aner Dazur. Anyone else want to share some gratitude? High Noon says, I'm grateful for the many hours I spent to email professors in psychology, public policy, and social work to figure out graduate school direction. I got so much gratitude for the emails back. Fantastic. Natasha says, unconditional love doesn't mean unconditional acceptance of poor behaviors. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where things like boundaries come in. And with a skilled practice of boundary setting, you can protect yourself from people's behaviors that are bothersome or dangerous to you without having to get to an anger level. When we don't have our skills all figured out, we have to use our anger to push people away or stop things or make our needs met. But if with skill boundaries, there can be love, like, oh, I love you absolutely, and you cannot stay at my house when you're in town. And I love you, and I'm not gonna visit you while I'm in town. And I love you, and we can only communicate through email. Because if we're in person, I know that you won't respect a boundary of mine, or you've violated my trust in the past, and then I will have fear and anxiety. And that wasn't the best boundary explanation, but I hope you were following along. BNHI Music says, were you at Burning Man this year? I think our camp were neighbors with you guys. I saw all the beautiful pink people. I was not at the Burn this year. So, but Pink Heart, the camp I helped start, was there. I think they were at like 9 in Esplanade. And there, I have no doubt there was many beautiful pink people. And I felt like a little bit of my soul was on playa with them. Right, file sharing networks. Christina says, grateful for art. I got to see a fun show of late night TV writers sharing material that didn't make it on TV and how they deal with weekly failure. Really inspiring. Oh my gosh. They essentially write hundreds of jokes and only some get selected every single week. Wow. I have so much admiration and respect for writers of television and movies and the people in a writer's room that are brainstorming scripts, and where the everyday average experience is that you're going to share a creative idea and be shot down over and over and over again. And you got to just keep showing up and having your ideas shot down, shot down, shot down. If I'm being honest, when I was a young man, I had a zine that I made where I would write stories and jokes and comics that I would Xerox and send around. And I did that so that I could publish myself, and so that I didn't have an editor or a producer or a writer's room lead telling me that I was no good, because I lacked the self-confidence to hear that. And a part of me wishes I was courageous enough to have gone to Hollywood and tried to be a writer and tried to be professionally funny. But I did the zine, and then the zine led me to the internet, and then the internet I could publish myself, and nobody could tell me I wasn't good enough or funny enough or witty enough. And I never overcame that fear. I never pushed through and demonstrated that courageous element that we had talked a bit earlier about, and that I have been dealing with lately, of beginner's mind, of learning new things and finding pride in the courage to try at that time in my life. And I'm still dealing with that self-preservation fear that wants to avoid the situation that where there's a high probability of failure or rejection. That is a fertile strip of growth property in our lives if we can tread through it and plant seeds and deal with the harsh elements. But I'm not going to pretend that I'm now old and wise and have mastered that. Not at all. So props, respect, bravo to the writers, the professional writers. Christina says, I think starting something on your own can have those elements of learning from feedback and failure from the public and individuals and clients. Failure is definitely hard, but so much can be learned from being okay with failure and going for it anyways. Totally. And there is a very there's its own set of lessons in learning. Like, for example, I definitely got haters and attacks. And rather than in a writer's room when my peers telling me I'm no good, I had strangers telling me I'm no good, or I'm a narcissist, or who the hell do you think you are, or you're a sellout, or you're a fraud, and had to develop a different type of courage in knowing that my value, my my value is not determined by the anonymous criticisms of the internet. And that often those criticisms are simply using me and whatever expression that I'm sharing as a wall for which to bounce and knock their issues and aggressions and fears and anxieties against. So I illuminate something uncomfortable in them. And so rather than them deal with it and process it, they attack it at me. And once I was really clear on that, then trolls and haters became like really inconsequential. Good morning, Edward. Good morning, Lisa. Sasha, it's good for us, though. Absolutely. Natasha says, I didn't even bother to look at the race stats from yesterday. Finishing was my win. Boom! Yes. Hello, Andrea says, I appreciate your vulnerability. Thank you. I've also learned through a long process of sharing vulnerably that if I am trying to protect myself, am I trying to like hide the things that I am insecure about, that puts me in a position of now I'm in danger of possibly being hurt. Because what if you see that thing? Or what if you call me on that thing? Or what if you judge that thing? But if I just say, hey, I'm scared and I am sometimes weak and fearful, then if you go, oh, you're weak and fearful, I'm like, yeah, I just said that. You can't weaponize that. Lisa says, I'm grateful that today, pending timing, there may be 2 faces in my square this afternoon. Oh, that's exciting. Lisa is talking about our daily gratitude circles in Zoom, which I've been a part of and hosting since the first COVID lockdown. So if you want to have your face in this gratitude sharing, noon Pacific time, I host one in Zoom. you can find the link through lifestudent.com. And yeah, I'd love to see your face. Uh, BHHY says, can I ask how to guard yourself after an amazing experience like Burning Man, or any festival really, and having to come back to work and deal with the stale energy around? Been struggling with that. That's a great question. And it's actually, I mean, that has become one of the core tenets of the work I do with individuals and people is, how do you integrate an experience, an awareness, an epiphany, a feeling, an awareness of yourself, of embodying the parts of you that you love most when you're in an environment that is so supportive of it, and then you leave that environment, whether it be a festival, a retreat, or whatever, and then or a medicine experience, and then you go into a world that is not celebrating that anymore. And the safest thing is to shut it down so that you don't risk anyone mocking or judging. But I would challenge you, not you specifically, but I would challenge anyone who has been so blessed to have an experience like that, knowing that in the history of humanity, it's a pretty rare thing to have the luxury to congregate in a festival environment or retreat or medicine experience, and to be gifted such awareness. And that part of the responsibility of that grand gift is that you need to have the courage to show more of that and be more of that and roll more of that in the world, even when you know that some people are going to reject it. Which doesn't mean that you wear, a tutu and sequins to work the next day, but it means looking for the ways that you can be human and yourself in all the places that you show up. Can you include in your email request a comment about something beautiful you saw this weekend and ask them if they had any highlights from their weekend? Could you ask that from the person in the cubicle next to you? Could you talk to your manager about, could we start our meetings with a minute or two of gratitude sharing? You might be thinking I'm talking crazy talk, but these are things that I have done in my professional career and had incredible success. The Gratitude Circle specifically. I was brought into a company by a leader that went to Burning Man and recognized that there was things happening there that were important for the future. And one of the things I did was integrate every Friday morning, we'd have a company-wide gratitude circle. And it was incredible for camaraderie, incredible for work retention, for the efforts that people put in. Once we started to get to know each other and really have these, honestly, we loved each other once we knew more and more about one another. That's a little specific, but I guess what I'm saying is that to me, the best antidote to the weight of decompression, the frustration of rejoining a world that is so different than the supportive environment of Burning Man or whatever, is to feel deputized as a love warrior, and that the heroism required of you is to try to show up in a way that is closer to that highest version of yourself. It's scary. It's hard. Like, one of the things that I do, my example, when I walk around my neighborhood, I wave and say good morning to everyone. I wave to every car. We have it's a gated community. So the waving to the cars is not always what I would do in where I used to live. But I smile and wave and say good morning to every person I pass. Eventually, I trained everybody to wave back at me, but bef- when I started, most people were a little jarred. That was not the acceptable protocol for the default world interactions that we were having. I mean, saying hello to a stranger at Burning Man is like, of course. And then you compliment their shoes and you say, oh my gosh, I love your bike. But you can do that in the default world. But know this, one of the reasons why I do this every morning is so that we can find other people that are on this team. So that when you have that experience where you say good morning and your neighbor goes, you can deal with the feeling that will create in you, because everything in you will want to shut down and don't do that anymore. I don't like this feeling. Don't do that. But then come back to us and tell me, hey, I tried and it was challenging. And we will be able to tell each other, thank you for trying. Thank you. Good job, man. That was awesome. That gives me courage to keep trying as well. I, wasn't at the Burn this year, but my yearly event, the Pink Ride, happened as people, Kiri, who is here live right now, and Mingle and Sean, they led the Pink Ride on my behalf or for me. And while it was happening at Burning Man, a friend of mine and we rode my 2 pink fur bikes around this neighborhood and around San Diego State University. And we did the same thing that they do on the Pink Ride, where we either said compliments or I love you to everyone we passed. Now, very quickly, I decided that compliments were a better idea to strangers in the default world. Saying I love you to a stranger in the default world is too much too fast. But saying I love your shoes or hey, you have a great smile, that was still too much for most people. And I'm really glad I was there with a friend, because the first time that someone like really gave me a stink eye look, so much of my biology was like, let's turn around. This is not, they do not want us here. But I had a friend, like we have friends here, and we kind of smiled and kept going. And we encountered, I'll say, a handful of people who were dramatically affected in a positive way by the interactions that we shared, brief ones. And to me, that is our assignment. That is our medicine, not just for the people that get to experience this glimpse of something different that's possible in the way we act and treat one another, but in ourselves, to build the strength, to have more comfort and familiarity with that part of ourselves, more courage to keep showing up in that way. Burning Man and the festivals, that's the scrimmage where you practice and you build up your muscles so that you know how to be good and connecting and loving and gifting and radically inclusive. And then you go in the default world and ooh, you get your ass kicked. But you're ready for it. And with community, we can help one another to heal faster and to keep going, to making little bitty gestures. And you have no idea the impact of your ripples. I've been trying to practice this in my life for 25 years, and it is so affirming and so kind of mind-boggling how often someone will reflect back to me the effect of one of those Love Ambassador connection moments from years ago. A woman approached me at the concert that Lisa did last week, and she said, "Hi, I know you meet a lot of people, but we met in 2015, and she was affected by witnessing this love ambassador attitude and this love and this. So we can be the ambassadors of this in the world in whatever ways that feel right and natural to us. Know that wherever you are, I am right behind you going, go, 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 go. And if you get smacked down with some harsh words or the soul-crushing rolling of eyes, I am giving you an embrace, saying, I'm proud of you. Christina says, very powerful to move through trolls and hater criticism. Very powerful. Thank you. You know, it's really, I mean, I think the more you live, the more you know it has nothing to do with you. Especially if you're being honest and truthful. Like, if I'm pretending to be a super cool guy and someone goes, you're not cool, then I'm like, oh man, I was acting like a part and I failed at that part. I suck. But if I just go do whatever I can to just be authentically me, and someone goes, you're not cool, it's like, you don't like this very real version of me? That's insane. That's like criticizing the color of a flower or the shape of a cloud. Like, this is the way the divine made me. So if you have an issue with that, take it up with my creator, okay? That's insanity. And I think there's liberation. That's part of why authenticity is a part of this whole equation of gifting and gratitude and removing the obstacles, the insecurities and things that are in the way of our authentic selves, and learning to love your shadow and say, this is me, I'm humaning best I can. And finding a community that understands that, which doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. It means hopefully you look at, oh, wow, I just did that thing that caused harm or caused someone hurt. I now need to repair, acknowledge, look at these traumas and issues and fears that made me act in that way, apologize, and do what I can to not do it in the future. That is a superpower. So much more powerful than having a facade of perfection. Pierre says, go team. Yeah. Genevieve says, and sometimes that workplace does not resonate with your new values. That's true too. You know, I mean, I have a lot to say about workplace stuff, but I could go too deep into that. So, but yeah, this is the winning team. Valletta says, just knowing you exist and that there's so many more is what I'm grateful for today. I'm feeling that. Thank you. I don't know what your lives are like and what media you are being exposed to, but having a reminder each day that you exist and that we share some of these desires for harmony and connection, that is medicine for me. That is keeping me sane, keeping me alive. Heinun says, I see that in myself as well, Edward. I want to know what I can do different to create different outcomes. I struggle with taking it so personal, though. Trying to do quality over bulk is hard too. Lisa says, and when you give a stranger a "You are beautiful" sticker in a store and she squeals so loudly, people in the store react and smile. That's worth the ones who don't get it when you speak or smile. Yeah, that's that's a good reminder. You in the default world, you are not going to get the response rate that you want, but occasionally you will touch someone who is so hungry, so starved for the attitude, the vibration, the energy, the love that you are showing. And just knowing that you had the courage to have that, to give that sticker to a stranger, that changes their whole worldview. I have stickers that I give away. One of them, it says, "Be the reason someone believes people are good." Meaning, yeah, there the world is, it can be easy to just fall into like, people suck, people suck, people suck. But you know what? Be the person that breaks that story so they can't think that anymore. The person who Lisa gave that sticker to, next time she's like, "Man, people suck." She's like, "Most people suck." Okay, that's progress. Good morning, Mingle. I love you too. Natasha saying, "Love is the answer. We need more of this." Edward saying, "Love ambassadors are awesome. Never stop loving, hugging, forgiving, caring." I love that you included forgiving. Let's see. Raven says, "I'm grateful for this life I have built and for my gifts. Today I am living the life I was dreaming of 2 years ago." Yes. I also found a new fellowship through the Edgar Case Center. My heart is so full. Today feels like a milestone. Well, I feel so blessed and lucky that you came here today to share that with us so we can celebrate you, celebrate, I'm sure, the countless choices and effort and all the ways that you steered and allowed to get to this place. Congratulations. Proud of you. Thanks for inspiring us. BNHY Music said, "I laughed at the tutu part, but yes, you are right. I guess I will say I'm grateful my boss is very understandable about what I do. He described me as, quote, being drunk with life." I love that. I once, one of my early bosses, I told him I was in love, and he goes, "You love anybody that doesn't throw rocks at you." I took that as a huge compliment. Christina says, "I love giving and receiving what I call drive-by compliments with strangers. It really picks up the day." Yeah. I and welcome Slappy and Zuli. I had an experience the other day where I was struggling if I was gonna say something. There was this couple that were wearing these pink, like light pink and white outfits, and they so matched and complemented each other. And I wanted to tell them how great they looked, and I didn't. And there was, one of the parts of this practice is just becoming aware of that. Like, what was I afraid of? You know, I think I was afraid. Like, I wonder, how do I phrase it in a way that a guy doesn't think that I'm complimenting his girlfriend, And, but they were in the other direction. I thought if I had an opportunity to drive by them, then I would have said something. But one of the purposes of these morning practice is to get in that headspace so that as we go through our day, let's start now with the goal and the intention of, I want to give those drive-by compliments. So then when I see that couple, I won't have to go through this 10, 20, 30, 40-second conversation in my head, I will just say, you guys look amazing together, and keep walking. And that can be the purchasing the item of the person behind you that's just got one thing. It can be the holding the door. It can be the whatever the little thing is. Let's start from a place of, yes, I want to say that thing. Yes, I want to do that act. So that when the opportunity comes, we act. That's what being a love ambassador is. Edward says, give genuine compliments as much as possible. I continue to learn that from my daughter all the time, and Hug Nation reinforces this practice of gratitude. And just as a side note, I will say, compliment people on the choices and the actions and the efforts they've made, not on their physical attributes. Don't tell someone they have nice legs. Tell them you love their style. Or don't say you have pretty eyes. Say, I love the way you do your makeup. And if you have a teensy bit of flirting, like you're hoping to hit on somebody, sit with that, because that's a different energy that is perceptible. If you're only giving compliments to people you're attracted to, sit with that and recalibrate. Heineen says, thank you all for letting our inner authentic being be expressed. A safe space like this is needed, and just find peace here now. I agree. Christina says, yes, I love character compliments over physical compliments. VHY says, random question, what's the best plant food for snake plants? Any advice? I have one of my own that I want to love and take care of. The best advice for snake plants is water them less than you think you need to. They are practically a succulent. Most common ways to damage a snake plant is overwatering. So get yourself a little moisture monitor that costs like $8 and wait till that shit is dry before you water it again. I think that's way more important than the food. And they also don't like big pots, because that keeps the soil wet longer. They like to be tight in a pot. Okay, I could go too long on plants. Was there something else that I was going to do? Oh, I wanted to try one thing, because I had something set up. I'm not sure if this will work, but Hug Monster, did you still want to say something? Do you still want to? You do? Okay. Hug Monster said that he had a good weekend and he wanted to talk to you guys. So hold on one second. If I can, I'm just going to have to open the door for him. No, can I come over now? Yeah, come on over. Where's the camera? Right there. Yes. Well, my name is Hug Monster, if you don't know me yet, and I am also a love ambassador. So I can't see them. How do I give them compliments? What? I mean, you can just say, don't worry about it. Just tell them about your weekend. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a compliment anyway. If you are here and you are someone who is giving compliments, I want to thank you in advance and tell you that if you see me, I like to be complimented on the smell of syrup in my fur. Actually, even more important is, if you have some syrup, I would like to have, can I ask for all of it? Dude, I don't think you're going to. Okay, well, if you have syrup, you can send it to my P.O. box. Dude, don't do that. Okay. Okay. So I just want to say that if you are a love ambassador And you sometimes have the feeling that people think you're weird, or they think that you are too much, or they use a word that is ugly, that it's because you are letting them see something in the world they're not used to. They are seeing that it is possible to be open and loving. And they've been taught their whole life in one way or another that they shouldn't. And so they're living in this cage. They're living in a way that well, it makes life less beautiful. But they think that we all have agreed to do this. So when they see you doing it differently, they don't know what to do. They have two choices. They can say, whoa, eh, are we allowed to dress like that? Are we allowed to be friendly to strangers like that? Are we allowed to be so radically self expressed? And if they say yes, then their whole worldview has to change. And that is too much for most people. So, what they do generally, unfortunately, is they attack. They defend their worldview and they say that you who are breaking the rules, you are a weirdo, you are a faggot, you are something yucky, and you are what's wrong with this place that used to stand for freedom. So know that if you hear an ugly word or a bad response, it is because you have rattled their very foundation. And who knows? Maybe long after that conversation, long after they have hurled that insult at you, they might be dealing with a crack in their foundation that you started. They might someday be free. So, thank you for being a love ambassador, and thank you for stockpiling syrup for me. Um, can I tell them about my website? Whatever, sure, go for it. Okay, the Hug Monster Show is on YouTube, and I have videos that are all for kids. I don't use the word faggot in any of them because I don't think that is appropriate. Probably not for this broadcast either. Yeah, probably not. That was out of line. What? But I was just saying, like it does happen. It happened to you all the time. I know. Are you done? Yeah. Okay. Yes, I am done. Well, that certainly was unexpected. So thank you, Love Monster, for visiting and giving us those important words of encouragement. And thank you all for being here today. BH Benny says, let your love infect their fearful ways. Love it. Well, wow, we went an hour today. That I mean, if we look at the streaming rule book, that means I like you. All right. Let's close with a hug, which I've been doing weekly for 26 years now. I do it multiple times a day in this broadcast and at noon. So wherever you are, give yourself a big squeeze. And as you're holding your body, imagine that we are holding one another, all the people who are here live and all the places all around the world. We are joined in Hug Nation. We are joined in this space that is beyond the physical. Doesn't matter where your feet are, matters where your heart is. And we have been sharing a moment. So let's feel together in this embrace, recognizing we're so much more alike than we're different. And as we are in that awareness, know that even the people that aren't in that awareness, the people that we are struggling to connect with, that they're still so much alike. So let's suspend our frustrations and our differences and our difficulties and sink into feeling connected to the whole human family, in forgiveness of ourselves and forgiveness of one another, in appreciation for the challenges, the struggles, and the triumphs that we all share. As we take a deep breath in and squeeze. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all of us here, thank you for being here and being a part of Hug Nation. I love you. Check out lifestudent.com for links to my other podcasts, as well as the Hug Monsters show and my First Saturday's homeless outreach t-shirts. There's a free sticker opportunity there. My men's groups, and get on my mailing list. I know that's a lot, but I think one of those things must be appetizing. Also, if you enjoyed this vibe, I have turned this into a podcast. So if you're not able to be here every day at 9 a.m., you can subscribe to Hug Nation on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and get the edited clips of kind of the meaty portions of these broadcasts, these morning broadcasts, delivered to your podcast app. Thank you for being here. Love you. Kiri says, the way you alchemize a soulless world into a sacred world is to treat everyone as if they are sacred until the sacred in them remembers. Boom. You're welcome, Ravena. Thank you, High Noon. Thank you, Edward. Thanks, Gerbot. Thank you, Natasha and Lisa. Thanks, everybody. I can hear Lisa singing downstairs.